Hi, welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We're previewing Week 9 in the NFL, and right now we are talking with Al McMordie from BigAl.com, who's going to cover the Monday night game, Chicago at Green Bay. Al, thanks for being back with us this week.
Always good to be here, Peter.
All right, before we get into the Monday night game, Chicago at Green Bay, which is a game that you chose, which is kind of interesting to me because I'm looking at these lines. Any way of betting this game scares me. I feel like right now I'm going to lay completely off it unless you can convince me of something. Give a quick plug for BigAl.com.
Well, as you know, anyone who watches these videos every week, I've been in the business, it seems like now forever, since 1992. The website BigAl.com has been up and running since 1995. It's a tremendous website. I've got the best roster of handicappers at the website. Folks like myself, Larry Ness, Scott Spreitzer, Brian Leonard, Tom Stryker, ASA, lots of great handicapping information. People can get 3 free picks every day at the website. Just go to BigAl.com and click on free picks. There's 2 free picks there. There's also a 3rd free pick from Larry Ness every day on our homepage at BigAl.com. So it's just a tremendous website with a wealth of information.
Okay, sounds great. And I love your technical analysis when you sometimes give contrarian plays. In this game, Chicago at Green Bay, it sounds, looking at it once over, I feel like it's a complete pass for me. But you probably have some, past statistical analysis that can shed light on possible value here. Green Bay is a 10.5-point home favorite. Totals 49.5 or 50.5. Those are both widely available numbers. And the Packers having a lot of injury issues, but they're still playing well. They're beating mediocre teams pretty handily, and they're still putting up a lot of points despite the fact that they are having injury issues at receiver. And Chicago, we know the deal with them. No Jay Cutler, no Lance Briggs. They are off a bye, though, so maybe they'll be able to prep and get some sort of game plan to stay close. If they can stay close, they're getting 10.5 points, which is a lot of freaking points in an NFL game. Big matchup like this, Bears-Packers on Monday night. I have no idea what to make of these lines. What do you like here, Al McMordie?
Well, when all else fails, why not go contrarian? I'm going to look at this game to go under the total.
Okay.
Chicago, in its last game before the bye, they put up 41 points in that 4-point loss at Washington. Green Bay's coming off a game where they posted 44 against the Minnesota Vikings. But if you look at games where 2 teams scored more than 38 points in the previous game, these games have tended to go under the total the next week. They've gone under the total 70% of the time, including 90% if the over-under line is less than 53 points. So that's one reason I like the under here. As you mentioned, Green Bay has a lot of offensive personnel out right now. James Jones, Randall Cobb, Jermichael Finley. Chicago, of course, missing its quarterback, Jay Cutler. So I think eventually, even though Rodgers was 24 of 29, last week, and even though, of course, Jordan Nelson always plays well, and then Jared Boykin stepped up and played very well, eventually these losses to their offensive, team are going to catch up with them, and I think it's going to be this week. The other reason I tend to like this game under the total is you have to look at the history between these 2 teams. Chicago and Green Bay, of course, are bitter rivals in the NFC North, and of the last 11 times they've met, 10 of the 11 have sailed under the total. The only over, I think, was back on Christmas Day of 2011. I like this ballgame to be low scoring. I'm going to take it under on Monday night.
All right, it is a compelling argument. The only thing that makes me nervous, just hear me out, Al, is, last week we also previewed the Minnesota-Green Bay game. You said you liked the under in that one. I said I liked the under in that one. I bet it. I had almost $20 riding on the under in that game, and of course, got burned. It was a loser. All signs were pointing to Green Bay, playing a conservative game plan. They put up 44, with the offense that they had on Minnesota. So that makes me very gun-shy about doing it again this week.
Well, you make a good point, and that's one of the reasons why I'm coming right back with the under here. I just think eventually it's going to catch up with them. As I mentioned last week, McCarthy did state he wanted to try to run the football with Lacey, and Lacey's running the football great.
Yeah.
And I just think this is going to be another game where, they're going to run the football. I think eventually the losses of Finley, Cobb, and Jones, it has to catch up with them at some point, and I think it's going to be this week. And then given the history of these 2 teams, looks like it's a low-scoring game. And also, take a look at Monday Night Football games in general. Monday Night Football games tend to go under the total when the over-under line is greater than 44 points. Going back to 1980, there have been 170 Monday night games in this situation. 100 have gone under, 70 have gone over. I just like this game under the total. I think the number is too high.
All right, awesome info. Al McMordie from BigAl.com. As always, 49.5, 50, and 50.5 are all widely available numbers on the total right now, so we can't give you 50.5. Big Al McMordie like an under 50.5 on Monday night. Thanks, Al. Talk to you again next week.